Hey everybody. So for today's movie review, I'm going to talk about the David Lynch film Inland Empire. It was one of his more recent feature-length films. And this film stars Laura Dern, Jeremy Irons, Justin Theroux, and a cameo by Laura Herring and Naomi Watts from Mulholland Drive, who David Lynch also worked with in the past, as well as some other people that he's also worked with throughout his other films in his career. But anyway, guys, Inland Empire. Throughout the first third of the story, it centers around Laura Dern and Justin Theroux are signed on to this movie where they find out that it's actually a remake of a film that was in production before, but it was halted. The production was in a halt because the two leads died during production, so the director kind of gave up on it. And it wasn't until these two actors, this actor and this actress, joined in, where they decided to make a remake of this film and officially release it. Um, so while all that's going on, Laura Dern finds a tunnel, which eventually leads to the rest of the film, where she encounters what's kind of David Lynch's specialty in films, where at this point in the story, you as the audience interpret what David Lynch is presenting you. Um, and when Laura Dern walks through this tunnel, one can view it as either memories of hers, abstracted, or it could be random events, and Laura Dern is experiencing them. So you never quite know what this tunnel is and what its purpose is. It's all a matter of how you interpret it and how your interpretation is based off of the information that David Lynch has given you throughout the film. Um, let's see here. So another question that you have to ask yourself is, did she get out of this tunnel, or was this film still in production? Because there's a scene in this film near the end where the director says cut, and Laura Dern's going off set, and then you ask yourself, was that a part of the film that they were trying to make? And were those events previously in the film a part of that film also? But it wasn't until that moment in time where um, we're given the information that she might have still been on the set, and then maybe that tunnel was a part of the film that this director wanted to make, played by Jeremy Irons. Um, so that's kind of the Inland Empire story, but at least the story aspect of it. Most of the film, like I said earlier, is it does take place while Laura Dern's in this tunnel, and there's a lot of really surreal events. It's like I said, it's David Lynch's specialty. Some of them are very random, but some of them actually have to do with things you saw previously in the film. Um, but for the most part, guys, Inland Empire, as far as the positive sides of this film go, it does have a lot of unique, surreal images. So those who are fans of David Lynch are really going to appreciate this film because there's more of his surreal, special touch added to this film. There are some interesting references and Easter eggs to things that happen throughout the film, things that are going to happen throughout the film. A lot of nice foreshadowing, a lot of nice references to some of his previous work, like I said before. Some of these people have worked with David Lynch in previous films before this one. Um, there was some occasional good acting in this film. There were some really cheesy moments, especially near the beginning and during some of the events that Laura Dern encountered inside this tunnel were really cheesy too. But for the most part, there was actually some pretty decent acting in this. And David, like I said, David Lynch really captured the dreamlike feeling in this. There's some images in this film where you really feel like you're asleep at night, experiencing a dream, and you remember that dream as soon as you wake up. David Lynch, I feel, is able to accomplish that feeling in this film. Um, Also, the rabbits sequence in this film, it's actually a short film that David Lynch made, and I think he incorporated this into the film. Or another thing that he probably did, I didn't do enough research on the short film, but um, I don't know if he made that short film just for this movie, or if he made the short film in advance and decided to incorporate it into the movie. But either way, the rabbit sequence was very unique. It was a kind of a new form of filmmaking for David Lynch, I believe, at the time, and it was just a really nice special touch that actually was referenced quite a bit throughout this film. So David Lynch did a very good job with that. Um, just a kind of a note about this film and kind of a recommendation also. If you have not seen any of David Lynch's films before this one, I would definitely make sure you check out at least two or three of them, specifically Mulholland Drive or Eraserhead or The Elephant Man. The Elephant Man is a much more mainstream David Lynch film. I have not seen Dune yet, but I heard that that is a very mainstream David Lynch film as well. So I would just kind of at least see two or three of his films before this one, just so you can get kind of get used to his style. Because to me, this film it wouldn't be a good way to introduce someone to David Lynch, simply because this film was so late in his career and he really focused on his style in this film. So as far as getting someone interested in David Lynch, this might not be the best choice for that. So make sure that you're a fan of him before you check out this film. Um, on the negative side of this film, there was some really overwhelmingly pointless surreal images in this. As nice as they were, and like I said, the Lynch fans are going to appreciate the surreal images because it's so David Lynch-ish. It kind of got overwhelming after a while. It almost got to the point where it's like, okay, what is actually connected to the storyline that I need to know, and what of it is just David Lynch being David Lynch. So to me, I think David Lynch should have done something where he kind of went through his ideas before making this movie and say, what do I really want to show the audience, and what really connects to the story I'm trying to tell? Because after a while, it really got to the point where I was asking myself, what is actually being connected to the story and what actually isn't, or is it just surrealism for the sake of surrealism? So I really wish David Lynch summed it down and maybe stuck with the stuff that actually dealt with the storyline at hand. So that would have been better. And that being said, another negative about this film is this film is way too long. It is a 3 hour movie, and I understand Mulholland Drive is 2.5 hours, and some of his other stuff was really long too. But because this film has so many surreal images, it kind of got overwhelming after a while. Um, and this film could have easily been trimmed down by an hour. I think this film could have easily been a good 2 hour film. So being 3 hours was way too long, especially for this kind of film where it's mostly surrealism for throughout its showtime. Um, yeah, 3 hours is too long for this kind of a film. It could have easily been trimmed down by an hour. This could have probably been the director's cut of this film, and maybe the theatrical cut could have been 2 hours. So that was just my opinion. But um, there wasn't really enough explanation in this film. I understand David Lynch is very well known for giving you the information and the audience interprets it, and that's your experience of the movie that he made. Um, but to me, he really didn't have enough explanation to what was going on. Um, and even if you didn't want to explain it, maybe just show it visually. Um, I think some form of explanation, or maybe more visual examples or more visual connections throughout the film, I think would really get the audience more into this film more so than what he did here. So explanation was definitely necessary for this kind of film. Um, and another problem I have with this film is it didn't really add up after a while, especially after I was done viewing the film and kind of thinking it over. There was just so many surreal images in this film, and some of it really did not deal with that whole actor and actress a part of that remake deal. Um, like I said before, David Lynch really should have gone through these ideas and say what's going to be connected to the storyline here, what's just surrealism for the sake of surrealism. So I really wish he thought those things through before making this movie. It was just really too bad that he abandoned that first third of the story with the actor and the actress in the remake, because that was just such an interesting concept, and that's what really got me into this film at the beginning. It was almost too bad that he forgot about it after a while and kind of got stuck in his own surrealism. I think there was even a review on this film that said that David Lynch likes to explore his own head in this movie, and I would definitely agree with that because he definitely forgot about storyline after a while. But overall, guys, Inland Empire, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's an okay film, not one of David Lynch's better ones. Like I said before, make sure you see at least two or three of his films before this one, simply because it is so sucked into his own style. Um, there is some fun to be had here if you like his previous work, but if you really haven't seen any of his films, if you're new to him, don't know a lot about him, this wouldn't be the place to start. I would recommend Mulholland Drive or Elephant Man, since Elephant Man's more mainstream than this. Um, so, like I said, guys, Inland Empire, 7 out of 10. It's an okay film.